We are gathered here today to talk about 5 more records that I love and why. So come with me. First things first, Queens of the Stone Age, like Clockwork. Queens is one of my favorite bands of all time. I've seen them many times. We've seen them a bunch of times. They're an unstoppable force of rock and roll. And it's just like, this album is pretty flawless from start to finish. It's everything I love about Queens. It's up. It has some slow songs and some kind of ballady songs that sound like Bowie, which is always a good thing. But Queens, they just always push the envelope. Like, the guitar tones are amazing, the lyrics are amazing, the musicianship on this album, and it's got like 3 of the best drummers of all time on the same album, like Dave Grohl being one of them. Like, it's pretty amazing.
What's your favorite song on the record?
I think probably Collapsia. There's a song called Collapsia that it's like nothing I've ever heard Queens do. It like explodes into rock and roll, and when I first heard the song, like, I never saw it coming, and even now when I listen to it, I'm still like surprised, and that's always like what I love about, you know, great rock and roll bands. Queens is I can't say enough about this band. This album is like, for me, it's equal to Songs for the Deaf, their other best album. So, second album I want to talk about is a totally different vibe than Queens of Stone Age. Jorge Ben, and it's called Africa, Brazil. This album is so fucking good, all right? It's 70s Brazil, an artist getting together with all of his buddies and making some of the most like progressive, funky, rock and roll, psychedelic folk music to ever come out of Brazil, let alone like the music landscape in general. Like, he's really cool because this artist, he was making a totally different style of music before this album, and then he just like shift gears and made like, you know, something so revolutionary, and it's like, it's so Brazilian to me. It's like exactly what you want when you picture Brazil. Like, you want to be listening to this. It's just like, it's a party, especially if you're like putting on music to have a good time and like dance or like just be up. I mean, put this on. I'm pretty sure all the guys who made this were like coked up the whole time.
Let's see.
Cause like the tempos are like really fast.
Yeah.
But
this guy for sure.
yeah.
The face he's making.
I mean, they're having a good time. I mean,
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, no judgment, right? It's like the art speaks for itself. So I don't care how they made it. It's like, it's unstoppable. Like, to use that word again, it's just like, it's unbelievable. Put this on, you will have a party, everyone will love it. This is like what, I don't know, if you're like, you know, you ever go to one of those parties and people put on music and you're like, okay, well, this is like default, like press play, Spotify, like, okay, we got the party mix going, you know? That mix wishes it had this stuff on it, this album. So just delete that playlist and just put this on instead. If you don't have, okay, so put your phone down, delete the playlist, go buy a set of turntables or, you know, whatever if you don't have one, and go to the record store, buy this album. It'll cost you about $80 because this album was actually really expensive. Yeah, put it on, and then there's your party right there. So just a few $100 later, and you're good to go.
You're like the Gwyneth Paltrow of music.
Yeah, totally.
Just like setting unrealistic expectations
Yeah,
for
totally.
everyone and acting like it's not a
not
big deal.
dupe. It's dupe. No, anyway, I'm just kidding. This is on Spotify as well, so like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a party. It's Brazil. What more do you need?
Cool.
It's like, dude, this album is straight up like drug lord music. So like,
Ah.
think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you want to like have that kind of party.
Okay.
Okay.
Party that could get stormed by feds at any moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't that the way to live, man? Okay. We ready for the next album?
Yeah.
Shifting gears yet again. Dion. This album. Okay. This album. Born to Be With You. This album was born to be with me. No, Dion. Okay. So Dion was a popular artist in the 50s is when he came out. And he was making kind of like typical 50s style good music, but like typical 50s style songwriting in that time. And then he made this album later in the 70s with Phil Spector. And it's so cool because it has the classic Phil Spector production, like the wall of sound that everybody loves, in the 70s, that Phil Spector just kind of...
Can you explain what Phil Spector's done? Because a lot of people just know him as, like, maybe a murderer.
Oh, yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, little inside.
Yeah, like, what... Oh.
Okay. So, anyway, yeah. All right, you want to talk about Phil Spector? Okay, so Phil Spector, what's cool about him is he's a legendary producer. He's like Quincy Jones, right? Like just someone who's like everyone looks up to, and everyone like he created his own style that everyone wanted to copy. He's cool. It's a really cool album. It's inspired a lot of artists too. Arctic Monkeys were really inspired by Dion. This is just one of those albums you have to have, especially if you're collecting vinyl. Like you want to have your record collection, pretty dialed. Just for like a good like all around collection. You don't have to take it. There's different levels to this stuff with vinyl, you know what I mean? But this is just something to have, like, definitely get this. You can put it on anytime. Everyone will agree. It's kind of like a Bob Marley album where just, like, everyone loves it. It's great, And it kind of sounds, I don't know, it sounds like the end credits to, like, SNL in the 70s.
Oh.
So, like, if that makes sense. Okay, actually, speaking of Arctic Monkeys, had to throw them in because... this is, again, one of those modern kind of like classic rock and roll records that you should just have in your record collection. It's pretty much a banger from start to finish. It's...
Name?
Oh, sorry, Humbug. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. This record, Arctic Monkeys, everybody knows them, obviously, and they're just such a great band and have made so many good records, but I probably listened to this album over time more than any other record of theirs. I had it on CD back in the day. Produced by Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, so there's that connection. Recorded in the desert, Joshua Tree Desert, at Rancho de la Luna. Dave Ketching studio. I worked with Dave Ketching. It's just, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's got so many good songs on it, but it's like every time I listen to it, I vibe with a different song. But I think the one I always put on the most was like the song called Dangerous Animals. And it sounds like Queens of the Stone Age, but like Arctic Monkeys doing Queens, and that got me really excited because I love both bands. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. It's great. It's great. It's
cool.
Kind of like Nick Cave getting stoned, playing Queens of the Stone Age in the desert, Anyway, this album is amazing. Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam is the artist. Okay, name. Okay, it's two guys who came together.
Catchy, yeah.
So, and had a dream that you were mine. But, okay, who is it? So, two guys came together, both amazing musicians and artists, to make this album. The first guy, Hamilton Leithauser. Who is he? He's from a band called The Walkmen, early 2000s, New York again. And Walkmen, amazing band, I love them. He went solo, he started doing his own thing. He collaborated with this guy called Rostam, who's in the band Vampire Weekend, kind of early 2000s New York reference again. And anyway, they made this album, it's flawless, it's pretty much a banger from start to finish. And it feels good. It's like it's like the Dion record, but like a modern version of that,
Yeah, it's got that one song that was in like an Apple commercial.
Yes.
So I feel like everyone would recognize that song.
So Blackout.
Yes.
There's a song called Blackout, which is in the Apple commercial.
Yeah, it was like, I can't believe, it was like AirPods or one of those commercials.
Well, Apple makes many products.
Well,
Okay.
yes, they do.
But yeah, no, it was in that commercial, and it was actually one of the best, like, syncs, I don't know, you watch, a lot of times you catch music in TV shows and commercials and stuff, and it's just like, it always feels like some random song that just didn't fit the ad or whatever, and that's a whole other discussion that nobody really cares to talk about but me. But yeah, the song was in the Apple ad. But the album's bigger than that. It's, you know, better than a pair of AirPods. Like, it's amazing. We saw him. So we saw Hamilton Leithauser. You weren't there. But we saw him in concert at the El Rey or the Henry Fonda. Or
The Fonda
like in LA.
I think.
And his voice is insane.
Yeah.
Insane voice. Like one of the best singers. Just, I've never seen someone approach singing live with such, like, ferocity. Is that a word? Like ferociousness?
I think ferocity is a word, but
Okay.
it feels wrong.
It feels wrong. Yeah, with such, like, just confidence and just, like, he almost approached singing like a fighter, like a boxer approaching the ring. So for those of you who made it this far in the video, here's a bonus. All right. A sixth record. Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. Just wanted to throw this in as well. This is like an amazing record from start to finish. It's all perfect. It's Bruce Springsteen, I would argue his best album. It's totally different than other Bruce Springsteen records in that it's very stripped back, so it's mainly just him and a guitar for the whole record. Which the story about this album was cool. These were all like demos.
Sorry.
That all the songs on this album were like demos that he just laid down with a vocal and a guitar, and he was going to bring to the band, and they were going to produce it up. But the demos sounded so good that they just kept it as is, and thank God they did, because it's so like emotionally, I don't know, transparent or I don't know, just there's so
raw.
much. Yeah, it's just emotionally raw. It's just, you know, sometimes you get that when it's just the singer and a guitar, right? And I mean, it's got like, it's just so many good songs. I don't know. Mansion on the Hill is amazing. Nebraska's amazing. State Trooper is like, just, I don't know. It's great, man. This is like, of all bonus albums to throw on a top 5 list, this would be the one, man. Okay. And we're all done. That wraps it up. It's time for dinner. Are you ready? You're hungry.
You hungry?
Okay.